Welcome back to Gatekeepers Exotics. I'm Matt, and if you're new to the channel and don't know who we are or what we're about, I'll explain that. For those of you that have watched some of our videos, you know what we're all about. So basically, I was a reptile owner, and my dad was a reptile owner. And we have a big passion for reptiles and other animals, just animals in general, but reptiles are one of our bigger passions. So we decided to come together and start a breeding facility, and start doing videos about our journey, learning about different reptiles, different ball pythons primarily. So we do have some other snakes. We have king snakes. We have red-tail boas. Then we also have a bearded dragon. But right now we are breeding our ball pythons. So we have several ball pythons, and I am going to show you what we're trying to do with the ball pythons. I'm going to show you what um, what the different morphs are, what the different looks could be, and uh, just kind of give you an idea of what they are. I know the different genes can be very, very confusing, and we have learned a lot about it, but we still have a long, long way to go. So, Gatekeepers Exotics, the name Gatekeepers comes from mine and my dad's name. My dad's name is Porter. My name is Matthew Porter. And the name Porter means gatekeeper. So that's where Gatekeepers Exotics comes from. So, I figured the best way to do this is to show you what we have and what genes are in the snakes that we have, and then show you what their offspring could look like. So, first of all, we're going to start off with Andrea Conda. That is one of our that's one of our stars. So we are breeding her to John. Andrea Conda is chocolate pastel pinstripe. John is a pastel clown. So if we breed them together, we come up with 12 possible outcomes. So let's take a look. So we have a Killer Blast Chocolate Het Clown. We have a Chocolate Blast Het Clown, a Super Pastel Chocolate Het Clown. Now, the Killer Blast Chocolate Het Clown would be a really cool snake to get, because if you search for that particular snake on Morph Market, there are none. I've looked and looked and looked to try to find one to show you all, but there are none on Morph Market. So that would be the only one there. So if we come over here to this side of the page and we take a look, I've saved a couple of animals on here, and I'll show you what we could come up with here. Let's see here. So we could come up with a Super Pastel Pinstripe, known as a Killer Blast Het Clown. So a Super Pastel Pinstripe. And this doesn't mean that they will definitely look like this, but this is a possibility. Now, that is a beautiful snake. That is absolutely gorgeous. That snake is one possibility that we could come up with by breeding these two together. John, which is the pastel clown, and Andrea. So let's see what else we might come up with. Okay, so here's a super pastel chocolate Het Clown. So that would be this one right here. We have a 6% chance of getting that snake. And there is a super pastel chocolate Het Clown. That's the exact snake that it says we could actually get from breeding these two together, which is absolutely gorgeous. So, what it does is the pastel gene defines the pattern on the snake, and the chocolate gene changes the coloring on the snake. So a super pastel really changes the markings quite a bit on the snake. If you notice on this one, so instead of having the alien head so much, it's more of a teardrop type shape. So that one right there is a very real possibility. I would absolutely love to get a hold of that one. Let's take a look at another pairing here. All right, so now let's take a look at Chloe and John. There are some incredible possibilities with them too. So Chloe is a firefly. She is an amazing snake. Um, Absolutely gorgeous snake. I cannot wait to see some of the babies that she produces. Let me see if I can get a photo of her right there. That is Chloe. So she carries the fire gene, lesser gene, pastel gene, and she's het clown, which is absolutely amazing for us because that the clown gene is a recessive gene, so it takes two copies. So you notice there was a lot on the other pairing that had het clown on it, because all of the offspring would be het clown, but they wouldn't have show the clown gene. They wouldn't be a visual clown. And het stands for heterozygous, and with these two paired, we have 24 possible outcomes. I had a really hard time finding some of these on Morph Market. A lot of them had other genes mixed in, or they didn't have the full combination that I was looking for. So let's take a look here. I know I've got a couple of them saved. Okay, so right here is a firefly lesser clown, which you will find right here. There's a 6% chance that we could produce a firefly lesser. Let's see, firefly lesser. Where did it go? I saw it right here. So we have a firefly lesser clown. So because both of them carry the clown gene, we can get visual clowns. So this is a firefly lesser clown. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous snake. So that is one very real possibility. And if you notice, a lot of them on here have firefly clown. The lesser gene reduces the pattern of the snake down its sides. They could also carry the pastel gene. They could carry the pastel gene by itself. They could carry it from both sides because they're both pastel, so it gives you a super pastel. Which, if you have a super pastel and a fire, that is called a super fly, which is pretty cool. If you have a fire and a pastel, that's called a firefly. So there's all kinds of different names for these snakes, and it is really difficult to keep up with. It can be very, very challenging, but thankfully Morph Market has a lot of it figured out. something else that's really cool about Morph Market is their gene calculator. So you can go to the calculators. Like if I go right here to the calculators, I can go to pythons and then select ball pythons, and it will allow me to calculate what I could get from breeding certain genes together. And any snake that has multiple genes, one really cool thing about it is even though you breed the two snakes that have 3 or 4 genes, it doesn't mean that the babies are going to have 6 genes, if that makes sense. It means that they, like any recessive genes that they have, that both of them have, they may have them together. Um, Pastel is called a codominant gene, and a codominant gene means that when they are put together, they're exaggerated. So that's where you get the super pastel. Um, with a uh, with a dominant recessive gene, it can also change things, change the way the snakes look. So there's a lot to it. I plan on doing a lot more videos about it, but this is just kind of a little bit of a sneak peek at what we have coming in the near future. Hopefully in the near future. Let's take a look at one more. All right, so this last pairing that I want to show you is really cool because we've got Betty, which is an albino het pied, and then Ryan, which is a champagne albino. We will get, it's kind of a simple pairing because they're both albino, so anything that they produce will be albino because albino is a recessive gene or a dominant recessive gene. So no matter what we do with these two, we're going to get an albino. The only other difference in them is they're both going to be 50% het pied, both outcomes, but one outcome could also carry the champagne gene. I was absolutely unable to locate a champagne albino, but we do have just an albino 50% het pied. So if we look over here, I've got one right here, and they are beautiful. They're beautiful snakes, but they're a single gene snake. And the 50% het pied, the 50% het pied is doesn't mean that it is het pied. It means that there is a 50% chance that it will be het pied. The only way to find out whether it is het pied or heterozygous pied, meaning that it carries the gene, but it does not show the gene. The gene is not visible. That would make it a single gene animal. And there are a lot of people, a whole lot of people out there that want that single gene animal, just that simple animal that isn't, doesn't have a whole lot of different genes in it. Albinos have been around for a very, very long time. Back years and years ago, an albino snake was like hugely sought after. And there's still a sought after snake, but the prices come way down, unfortunately. But back years ago, you could see them all the time for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. All right. I know I said I was just going to do one more, but I just thought about one last one that I wanted to show you all. And I found one, and that is the yellow belly. We also have a pair paired together that we are interested in seeing what comes of it, because yellow belly is also a very popular gene. And we have a yellow belly female and we have a cinnamon male. We still need names, you all, for our yellow belly female and our cinnamon male. So if you have a name in mind, let us know. We really want to name these two snakes. All right, right here. So we got our yellow belly female paired with our cinnamon male. There are 4 possible outcomes, and we have, and they're all very simple outcomes. So we have the possibility of it's called a cinnabelly, which is a cinnamon yellow belly. That's it, cinnamon yellow belly. And this right here is what that would look like. A cinnamon yellow belly is just pretty much a much darker snake, and on the sides, the yellow belly, so its belly would be completely white, and then the sides, along the sides, you see that pixelation, or like around the belly color comes further up on the sides of the snake. That's where the yellow belly comes from, and then the darker cinnamon coloration, which is why it's called a cinnamon, is very visible. So that's a cinnamon yellow belly. And then the yellow belly gene, so we could have a cinnamon yellow belly, we could have just a cinnamon or just a yellow belly. And then there is also a 25% chance with this pairing that we could get a normal, just a normal ball python, nothing special, nothing over the top, which is perfectly fine as well, because ball pythons, doesn't really matter what they look like or what genes they have. Ball pythons are incredible, absolutely incredible animals. You can see here, this is a cinnamon and it's het pied, so it doesn't show the pied gene, but this would be what just a cinnamon looks like without the yellow belly gene. All right. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Leave a comment, especially leave a comment for some ideas for names for our yellow belly female and our cinnamon male. We need names for them. Again, like, follow, leave a comment, subscribe on YouTube, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. There will be many, many more to come, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.